Shalom Aleichem, fine people. Today is the Hilula, the day of passing from this world to the next world, of a very, very wonderful, wonderful person, Rav Mordekhai Sharabi. He was a Yemenite Mikubal, a real Kabbalist, and a very, very special soul. I want to tell a few stories about him, give some people some good things to hear, and get a bit of a feeling of what this phenomenal person was. He lived for, I don't know how it was, to the age of 80 or 90, and never had children. His first wife passed away, second wife also no children, and he was always asking Hashem, and one day I remember he was crying. No children, well, I'm going to go karet, I'm going to go without child. It's considered a big punishment. And then we all heard like a humming, but then he smiled and said, was relaxed. He said, okay, I got my answer. And what? So what we heard is humming. He got an answer from Shemaim. The whole generation is your children. What are you crying about? You have millions of children. What are you lacking? And yes, he felt comfortable after that. Okay, I said, I remember hearing, I wasn't here at the time, but during the 6th-day war, I heard from the fellow who went through it. He was a soldier, was a paratrooper, and he had been called up to active duty at the beginning of the war. And before he went to his base, he came into the Rav and told him, he said, it's a bit scary. He said, it's okay. When a time comes and you feel you're in great danger, just say, Elokah, the Rabbi Mordekhai Sharabi, Aneni. The God that answers Rav Mordekhai Sharabi, answer me. And you'll be fine. Okay. Went and had gone up in the plane, a C-130, which most people in the world know, the Heracles C-130, which is what we use here for paratroopers, and jumped, and the parachute didn't open. And he's picking up speed, pulls on the emergency cord. It doesn't open. This is getting worrisome. And of course, speed is picking up, and parachutes are opening, and the ground's getting closer and closer. So, oh yeah, poof, parachutes opened up. Perfect, gentle, the most perfect, comfortable landing he ever had. And he went to the Krav. After the end of the war, he came back, wanted to tell the Rav about it. He walked in, Rav looked up and smiled. The landing was fine, right? He knew in Yerushalayim, in his Bet Midrash, what had happened to this fellow when he jumped out of the plane and it didn't work. He actually felt it. He already knew before the guy told him. It's a big tzaddik just catch with people. And that answered. There was a young avrech, a young college student, who was going to Sharabi matchmaking meetings, and he was suggested a particular girl living outside of Yerushalayim, and he went to meet her. He said, I don't know. And he came back to the Rav and said, I met someone that was suggested to me. I'm not sure. So Rav starts asking questions. She's short, right? Quite short, yeah. And she's not light, she's sort of dark skin, yeah. And the boy was wearing a light skinned fellow, yeah. And talks with a little bit lisp, yeah. But she's a bright kid, yeah. Very good-hearted. Oh yeah, I've heard very good-hearted person. Very good character traits, and so on. Yeah, and she's got a good family. Yeah. It's your wife. You don't have to worry about anything. He asked for a name before. He asked what's her name, what the mother's name, date of birth. And from all that, mother's name, her name, date of birth, he knew all these things about this girl already. He said, he never met her. He didn't know her. He just saw that. He said, nothing to worry. It's your wife. And then he took a book called Kontros HaYechiari, which has a lot of things about Kabbalah for different occasions in a person's life. To give you an idea, in this Kontras booklet, the way a funeral procession is to be handled by Kabbalah is about 18 pages long, 18, 20 pages long, on what has to be done, proper funeral for Kabbalah. So when there's a table that was set up by the Arizal, what days are good for doing certain things, what days are not good for doing certain things. And by this table, he picked what was the date for the wedding. That was the wedding done, and we heard that the person had wonderful shalom bayit, children, everything. No problem. And many other occasions where people who tried everything, couples had no children. They tried this, they got bracha here, ktiyun here, this sugula, that sugula, IVF, and all kinds of medical procedures. Come to the Rav, looks at him, says, when you were single, you did such and such, didn't you? The guy sort of starts to sweat. Says, you do this tikkun, and you go to that person, ask forgiveness for something you did there, everything will be all right. The day after the fellow asked forgiveness from the person, or the Rav told him, what he had done, precisely, some kind of an insult in public or something like that. The next day, his wife went to the mikveh and conceived. You can be sure that the boy was named Mordekhai. The child was named after the Rav for that one. Many other little things like that. What Rav Mordekhai TZ'l felt very important was children. Getting the children to love people, to love Hashem. He made great efforts to collect money, and during the week and also on Shabbat, he would collect himself and get other people to collect, bring children, tens and tens of children, say Tehillim together. Not shouting and screaming like it's done today in big places, like voice, but together, pasuk after pasuk, and he would give them candies, give them toys, give them money. Just come and say Tehillim and learn to love it. And he personally would be there saying it with them. And the children would come up, and they would, if they wanted a bracha, they wanted a talk, they wanted a little pat on the head. And they got these children together. Today, you see these children today are fathers and grandfathers, and you see that they got from the Rav this feeling of Ahavat Yisrael and Ahavat Hashem, just by his attitude and the atmosphere that he kept around him. I remember one occasion, there was a fellow in Yerushalayim, lived in Nachlaot, which is where the Rav lived and where the Yeshiva is, who was very, very, very secular and often did things to bother the religious people. And one day he figured he's going to try to bother the Rav so much that maybe he'll curse him, just to see how it was. A Shabbat. For he called crazy, it was a Shabbat that was also Yom Kippur. This guy comes up on his motor scooter. Boom! Right in front of the Rav and the students that are around there. Boom, 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 boom. On Yom Kippur Shabbat. He said, I'm going to go eat a pork sandwich, And he figures to sit there and figured, boom, boom, waiting for the Rav to say something nice and acidy and spicy. Rav looks at him, gives a sweet smile. Say, my son, Shem Yishmorota, God shall protect you and keep you and love you. Have a wonderful day. If you come to visit the Beit Knesset, we'll greet you. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful year. Shalom. And kept walking. And the guy sat there and looked as well, totally confounded. He said, it wasn't the reaction he was trying to get. And it just took all the wind out of his sails. He turned off the motorbike, left it there, and walked away. And later that afternoon, in Mincha and Ne'ilah, he was in the Beit Knesset. And the next Shabbat, he was in the Beit Knesset. And he came up to Rav and asked, sorry? And he says, lead me the way back to where I'm supposed to be. And he did tshuva out of ahava, because he was given ahava. So, the message, what can I say? Also, Rav Mordekhai, there's no such thing as Ashkenazim, Sfaradim, Litainim. We're all the same nation. Doesn't matter. All that. Just be peaceful and loving each other. And he gave peace and love to everybody. And he was a very, very astute and well-learned person. So, a little idea of what this phenomenal man was about. Wish you all a wonderful and happy, beautiful year and life. TZ'l Shalom.